Hey guys, welcome back to another AT Customs video, and today we'll be looking at the Avalanche Exia from Avalanche. Alright, stay tuned. Okay guys, so one thing about building third-party kits is that parts usually don't really fit well together. Even if they fit, sometimes it is just way too tight. So if a case like me, I like to paint my kits, so if it's just too tight, it's very hard for me to remove it. So there is actually few methods actually to solve this problem. I'm gonna show you now. Alright. Okay, so one thing that you can do is actually, as you can see, these packs over here, you guys can actually just use a nipper and cut them slanting. Alright, try to do it like this. You can see it. Snap it like this so that it is not really sharp. It is sharper, so it's easier to go in, and also not so tight when it's fit inside the part. Okay, so this is actually how the part looks like when it's cut. Alright, as you can see, it is slanting and this part is still round. So this is actually one method to make the part not too tight, so it's actually easier to remove for painting. And this technique is actually very good for third-party kits because usually they have fitment issues. Alright, okay, and there is actually another method. This method is actually normally what I prefer because it's actually way easier than the method just now. It is that, as you can see, sometimes there are parts that are circle like this, so you can just take your plastic nippers, alright, plug it into the circle. Alright, okay, as you can see the circle here, all you need to do is just put it into the circle, cut it. Right here too, just cut it. Alright, repeat this step to every single circle. Alright, sometimes I do leave one of them behind like this, so that it is not just way too loose. Alright, so if you were to put the parts together like this, right, even you press all the way in, it is still easy to remove for painting, except for the top part here. Alright, once the top part is free, everything is easy to remove. So this is actually one of the very basic technique for you to actually paint your kit or to build a third-party kit. Okay guys, so there is actually one more problem about this kit, is that example simple part like this, alright, where you actually connect the arm to the body. This part is actually way too tight. The peg here is just like slightly too big, so you need to actually enlarge the arm here. So actually what you can do is that, imagine this is actually the part of the arm. There are a hole, right? So get a file, a small file like this, a circle one, alright? Just put it into the hole and just sand the sides, alright? So this way actually you actually make the hole bigger so that you can fit the part in easier, alright? Or you can actually get a smaller file like this to actually make smaller holes like this, alright? Smaller hole like this, bigger. Okay, this is actually making your life easier when you put in the kit, or else if you were to force the kit in, force the part in, you might actually break a part. Okay. If you guys ever heard that third-party kits, when you build, you're normally having parts that you cannot snap in place, right? So for example, of course this is not an issue now, but I'll just show you. So sometimes when you press it in, like press very hard, and you still can't close the gap, right? So some people actually, they put it into their mouth and bite it to force it down, but for me that is actually a very bad idea, because you might actually damage the plastic here, right? So actually there's one way that you can do, which is using your plastic nippers, right? Plastic nippers, usually you just cut parts with this, but there's another way that you can actually tighten the part, is actually by using the back part of the nippers. Example, I put my part in here and then I just press it down, put it here, press it down, so it actually forced the part close, right? So as you can see, after I do that, the part is really closed and tight, right? Of course this is not really a loose part, this is not really a tight part, but this is actually one of the part that I use for demonstration purposes. Okay, so hope you guys take this into account if you were to buy a third-party kit. Okay. Okay guys, so finally the Avalanche Exia is done. It took me actually 3 days to fully complete building this kit, but I actually avoid putting those stickers inside those clear parts. Alright, I will only put those stickers once it's painted. And overall this kit does looks pretty good, but there are many issues. The blue parts here are supposed to face outside, but currently it's inside because this holder here is not tight enough to hold the swords, so I have no choice but to put it this way. Alright, this is actually one of the reason, but it still looks pretty good. I'm not really sure why they didn't put the, as you can see there are holes here. They should actually make a pack in this holder here so that I can just pack it in. That way the connection is more secure, but for this there is nothing, right? It's just holding there by friction. So this is actually one of the downsides. Secondly is that most of the joints are just way too tight. As I explained just now, the arms here are just way too tight to put into the body, right? So I need to actually shave down the part in this shoulder armor here, to actually put the shoulder armor first and then shave off the a little bit of the polycap in the arm just to put it in. So this is actually a normal problem, I would say, if you were to purchase a bootleg kit like this. These are a few problems that you might face. So if this is actually the first bootleg kit you want to buy, I would actually recommend you maybe stay off from it, unless you are very good at modeling and you can actually buy this. But even for me, I've been playing with Gunpla for few years and I still find it pretty challenging to build this, right? Of course it's not hard, but I find it challenging. And why actually take me so long is because I actually prepare most of the parts so that I can paint it later on. So for example, as for this part here, as you can see for the sword, I didn't really put it in all the way. I let it open up to reveal some details in there. Okay, so the next problem that you might face are the articulations. So this kit basically, I think the best pose is actually just leave it the way it is, because how would I say, the connection to most of the parts are too tight, so you can't fit properly, so you have to loosen it up. But because you loosen it up, it might become too loose, so it's easy to actually fall off. So I would recommend you just pick a very nice pose and then you just leave it the way it is. Or once it's painted, you might actually super glue the armor parts onto the frame. Okay, so as you can see, the details of this kit is pretty good, right? As even the articulation for the head is pretty badass. You can look all the way up, look all the way down. But one thing that I find this kit pretty weird is actually the neck. Alright, if you were to move the view from the front, you can see that the gap between the head and the body is pretty big. I'm not really sure am I doing anything wrong, but I feel that I already put it all the way into the polycad. So one way to fix this is actually push this thing down to cover up the hole, right? It makes it looks more badass. But this is actually one of the problems. Second problem is that I found is that the torso does not clip well together, right? There's a gap over here between these two parts, and then this is actually a very big problem. All right, why? I will show you on the book. Okay, so as you can see, this is actually the part that I'm talking about, right? This back part over here is supposed to connect into the main body in front, and these two connections is very hard to come by, mainly because of this part here. These two parts are supposed to be this, right? These two parts here are supposed to hold up the front and the whole entire arm. But the problem is this whole entire kit, this whole entire arm section is held up by just this part, and there are many pegs and swivel around. As you can see, this part here is supposed to be in between the main part and the back part here. Alright, so because of this part is loose, it cannot really fit in well. So this is what happens. As you can see, with just minor force, it will come up, open up and close, right? See? So this is actually a very huge problem. So if I were you guys, I would actually glue the part in, or you can actually put a sticky tag in the part there to tighten up the joints slightly, right? So this is actually one of my suggestion to you guys. Okay, last but not least is actually the backpack itself, right? As you can see, it's holding up all the four swords over here, okay? But what is actually holding it to the body? Well, if I were to just slightly remove this, as you can see, it is actually held up by just these two little pegs here into this part here below the GN drive, and this rubber here is already blocking some part of the connection, so the connection to the backpack is actually very loose. So you guys need to be careful in this, or you guys could also just glue this in once it's painted. Okay, so this is actually one of my suggestions to you guys. Okay, before I give my final verdict, I would like to also point out that there are many spare parts still left on the runner. Yeah, so as you can see, this is actually the back of the legs, and maybe some GN drive thingy here, some of the leg parts again, and then there are a lot of parts here, head part, and then the skirt armor, I guess, the back, some clear parts, and then more blue parts, and then there are weapon parts here, shoulder parts here, a lot of spare parts. So even the legs and arms here, I guess, the leg parts, right? There are many spares. So I don't really get why they actually do this. Maybe because they want to come up with maybe different types of Exia, right? See, there are more knee parts here, leg parts, weapon parts. So there are actually a lot of parts that are still left over. Example, this runner is, I don't even use this runner yet, right? So I don't really get why they actually need to how to say, give these parts, because if you were to buy a third-party kit, usually you buy it for the price because it's cheaper, right? So if I were a third-party company, I would actually try to minimize my cost by not including other parts. But as for this is actually good because there's actually like a rifle here that you can actually replace it with the GN sword. So I think this is good. But one problem is that it is not included in the manual. So you actually have to build this blind, right? So there is actually no guide on it. So if that, as I was saying, if I were actually the third-party company, I would actually rather just save the cost and make this this kit slightly cheaper, so that more people will actually buy it. All right. So here I will actually compare it with a Bandai 100 grade Exia, right? So the size is actually pretty similar, I guess, but the details is actually way more detailed than the Bandai. Even though this my Bandai one is actually a non-grade Exia, but I think you can actually prove the point. Example like this is actually more stylized and stuff like that. And even this actually there is actually a sticker in supposedly inside here, but I didn't put it because I want to paint it. And I think I won't even put the stickers on the knee here because you can actually see the piston kind of mechanism in there. So if you were to paint the piston thing chrome, you can actually see it. I will also show you once it's fully painted, the before and after shots. Okay, so you guys can see that. But for the meantime, this is about it. Okay, so yeah, final verdict. Should you buy this kit? Well, if you are an experienced builder, then yes, you should. Okay, but if let's say you're new to Gunpla and you think that you like Exia a lot and you can't afford to buy a Bandai kit, I think this is not really a good argument because the Bandai kit is quite closely priced with this kit itself. So this kit is not really that cheap either, right? Unless you are a metal build fan but you can't afford a metal belt, so you buy this kit. And then again, you have to ask yourself, is your modeling skills good enough? Because buying a third-party kit like this, a lot of fitment issues and stuff like that, you might give up halfway. So I don't really recommend this kit for beginners unless you are let's say an experienced modeler and you just want to save some money, so you just buy this kit. Fine. If like for me, I'm a double O fan, so I buy this kit to add to my collection, it's fine. But as for me, even an experienced modeler, I would actually take me 3 days to even build this kit. Of course, I actually do clean up a lot of stuff, cutting the pegs, everything, so that it's easy for me to paint and etc. So even if I didn't do that, maybe I'll take at least 1 day plus to finish building this kit. So this is actually not really an easy kit to build. All right. So but articulation wise, I wouldn't want to show you because most of the parts are actually very flimsy. So as for you can see here, parts like this supposed to close, but you can't close it all the way. So you need to actually push this thing down slightly, right? This yellow part down. Okay, then only you can close this part. I have no idea why it's like that, but it's like this, right? So you can actually close it up like this and stuff. And also this this kit looks pretty weird without the skates, right? Without the skates, it looks pretty weird because the top of the whole kit is very bulky, and the bottom part, as you can see, the legs are pretty small. So imagine if you without the skate, it looks pretty weird, right? Because the knee part is too big. So if it's for me, I will actually keep the skates on. All right. And as for accessories, there are a lot, right? There are actually the shield as usual, sword, okay, and all the small swords, the GN blades. I do not know what it's called. 4 of the sword, too long, too short. And of course, there's also these another sword, GN blade 3, I guess this is called. So there are actually many accessories comes with this kit. So if you are the one that you like a lot of accessories, yes, this kit is good. But the problem is you can't fit all of this weapon on the kit, so there will be a lot of leftovers. So this kit you might, these parts you might give it to a different kit. Hey guys, so this is the end of my review of the Avalanche Exia from Japan. So if you guys ever built this kit before, please let me know. Do you like it or do you hate it? Or if you are new and you're planning to buy this kit, my advice to you is just be careful, and you need to be very patient, okay? Because there are many parts that don't fit well and stuff like that, and there are many annoying numb marks, because some of the location of the numb marks are very hard to clean, especially like those recessed areas. Yeah, with, let's say if you sand it with a sanding stick, you might actually damage the details on the other side, some nearby parts. So these are a few things that you might have to consider before buying this kit. So that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care guys.